Greetings YouTube and welcome to Awaken the Dragons 19 Trends. What do I mean by trends? Basically, this is just my observations of what I've seen people tech, play with, write up in deck lists, a couple videos, sorry about that. Basically, it's just things I've noticed as we head into this format that I believe we can find a way to take advantage of, or at least just to be aware of. I will cut out of here, show you my mat with all the cards I want to discuss, and yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so on the mat here, I've just got some things that I want to talk about. Certain cards and just basically certain type of cards. First and foremost would be Effect Veiler's place in the main deck. I've seen people basically drop their Veiler almost entirely from their deck. I mean, they're still running one copy, two, maybe even three, depending on what deck you're playing, such as Plants or Chaos Dragon. But right now, people are basically thinking along these lines. Effect Veiler is only good against just a few decks, whereas a lot of the top decks at this moment aren't bothered by it. So I might as well just side deck it because it's just going to be dead against Heroes, Dark World, and it's really only good for stopping the Rabbit play and Rabbit. But if they set back row and then make a Logia on the next turn, then you just basically pitch the card from your hand for absolutely no reason. That kind of thing. And as a result, some people are replacing the second and third Veiler with one or even two copies of Max C, which I understand. That's something I might be doing with a deck or two that I have. But what this also means is that monsters who had problems using their effects because of triple Veiler in the main last format have an opportunity to see play. And the one that I can think off the bat with dragons would be Divine Dragon Apocalypse. This is a very good card in both Disaster and Chaos Dragon. His uses vary from depending on which deck you're playing. In Disaster, you can just use it to recycle Red MD or Light and Darkness Dragon. Whereas Chaos Dragon, you can use it to recycle Dark Arm Dragon, Judgment Dragon, Light Pulsar Dragon, Dark Flare Dragon, and of course Red MD. Or you can even put dead copies of Dark Flare Dragon or Eclipse Wyvern in the graveyard to get back a Dark Arm that you milled and then get their effect off. Basically, this guy, despite being really good, fell out of favor because Effect Veiler against this was just a brutal play. If you activate his effect and pitch the cards, they would Veiler it, and you would just feel like a complete ass because you lost a card out of your hand and you got a 1000 guy who's going to die on the next turn because you don't want to use your protection cards to keep this alive. You want to save your prisons, your force, your lance, and so forth on your Drago and your Red MD. So, yeah. Eventually this guy was dropped altogether, but now that Veiler is seeing less play, this card might be playable again. Furthermore, both decks can tutor it out via their Battle Searchers. You got Mass Dragon for Disaster Dragon, and Mystic Tomato for Chaos Dragon. I don't know how many copies I want to run, especially in anti-meta Disaster, but in a standard build or even just Chaos Dragon, I would definitely consider teching one at this point. Next card I want to talk about is Thunder King Ryko, basically the most hyped card going into this format. Basically, everyone is like, oh man, Thunder King's everywhere, you gotta watch out for it. Thunder King this, Thunder King that, and it's a great card. Thunder King plus back row is probably going to be the most common opening play at least at the start of the format. And basically, if you're running a deck that is severely hampered by this kind of thing, you're going to have problems. And I list Dragoonity here because while I did say that this was an amazing deck heading into this format, there's no denying it. Thunder King completely stonewalls these guys. How bad is it? I went up against a really bad deck on the end. It was like a Chaos Gravekeeper DNA Surgery Rabbit Dino deck thing with a hero. It's the kind of thing that normally Dragoonity would Raffle Stomp, but because he opened with turn 1 Thunder King plus 2 back row, I couldn't do anything, and by the time I got rid of that T-King, which involved minusing the hell out of myself, by the way, it was really too late to mount some kind of comeback. And basically, if you're running a deck that is severely hurt by Thunder King, you're going to have to find some way to play around it, either by main decking Phoenix Chain, main decking Smashing Ground, main decking Soul Taker, main decking Tsukiyomi, or making sure you have Book of Moon if you don't already, Compulse. You need to find a way to get rid of Thunder King without completely burning up a whole bunch of resources, and yeah, that's something Dragoonity has to take care in order to do. Furthermore, because Thunder King Ryko is seeing a lot of play, Rabbit, Plants, Heroes, Windups, Chaos Dragon, yes, Chaos Dragon can run this deck, and this guy too, and it's actually a really good tech in that deck. Basically stun your opponent, send it off to the field to stop a big special summon, and then you can just remove it for Pulsar Dragon, and then you can just summon it back via Tour Guide plays. This card's awesome on Chaos Dragon, I just don't have room for it at the moment. But yeah, because this guy is seeing more play, this guy is starting to see play in order to stop that. Decks like Heroes, Plants, Rabbit, these are decks that can take advantage of the Snowman Eater, because they'll just get rid of the T-King, you'll sit there at 1900, then you can just summon a level 3 and just go on the Zen mains, that kind of stuff. He's revivable with Debris Dragon, which can make Gungnir. You can remove it with Miracle Fusion to drop Ab-Zero. Snowman Eater is probably going to be one of the most very common cards that people will set, barring some kind of decks such as Sabers and Chaos Dragon. If they set a card, you have a good idea what those are going to be. But yeah, just take care when you're attacking face downs, because it might not be just a set Veiler, it might be a Snowman Eater, and if you attack a Snowman Eater with your 1800 guy, you're going to lose 100 life, and you're going to lose a monster, and it's just going to sit there troll facing you while they summon a Spear Reaper and poke at your hand. So yeah, kind of watch out for those. Next up, Mirror Force. This card is going to 2, and I'm actually not liking it as much as I thought I would. I admit, I kind of got a little excited over the prospect of being able to run 2 Hollow Mirror Forces in my deck, but now that I've played around with it a little, I've found the card to be underwhelming. If anything, I would rather max out on Dimensional Prison at this point. Deep Prison is just a much better form of monster removal. I mean, it doesn't trigger Starlight Road, that's one thing. It permanently gets rid of certain monsters like Flight Pulsar Dragon or the Shining, and it's just probably one of the best non-limited trap cards that we have at this time. I don't know if I would run 3 just yet, but staple traps at this time I definitely do feel are 2 Dimensional Prison, 2 Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment, and then 1 to 2 Torrential Tribute depending on what kind of deck you're running, and then 0 to 2 Bottomless Trap Hole. Yeah, this card has just been really nice in play. Plus it gets rid of Thunder King, which is again important for a deck like Dragoonity. If you're not running this in Dragoonity, you damn well better. Next up, I've also noticed that the format right now is a little bit passive. People are pretty content to just set their monster and then make plays off of those, and I definitely do not mind that. I mean, we have one of the best battle floaters out there in Mash Dragon. It can tutor out so many good cards, like Exploder Dragon, who is basically a Snowman Eater for dragons, and then you got Divine Dragon Apocalypse, Delta Flyer, so on and so on. But at the same time, because people are setting these kind of monsters, cards that get advantage off of killing them have a really good opportunity to shine here. And we have one in Hieratic Dragon Kebeb. You can just simply attack over that Dandelion, you can attack over that Mystic Tomato or whatnot, and you can pull out a level 4 vanilla from your deck and then just proceed to make a rank 4 like Roach, Maestroke, that kind of thing. So yeah, I kind of like I like both of these cards at this moment. Of course, the one thing you gotta watch out for Yabeb is Snowman Eater. You don't know if that card's going to be one of those, so just be a little bit careful. If you're reading a Snowman, don't attack, or at least try and force it out. Don't try to make sure that you've gotten rid of the Snowman before you drop your Ryo if you're playing with Ryo in your deck. But yeah, I just noticed that one too. And kind of all along those trends, we're seeing these kind of defender monsters, and as a result, some decks that can take advantage of them by running Jane Lightsworn Monk should definitely do so. Chaos Dragon and Lightsworn will obviously come to mind. Ehren gets rid of all these guys without having to deal the hassle of their effects. Zen mains especially. Zen mains is a very common play now, especially he's been reprinted as a super. Lightsworn Monk just says, get that shit out, back into the deck. However, one thing I do want to note here, and this is something that I've had actually disputes on over DN. I actually saw some guy even went so far as to say, you're pathetic, you know who I am? I'm like, no, I don't know who you are, I don't care who you are, but basically it's Ehren versus flip effect monsters, and monsters activate effects when they're flipped up. Now, so when Ehren attacks, the monster is flipped up, and then it's shuffled back into the deck before damage calculation. That's right, a monster is actually flipped up before Ehren sends it back. And that's all that's needed for this to go off. They'll be sent off the field, and then their effect activates. It's treated as activating on the field, despite the fact the monster is in a deck, so cards that can negate the effects of monsters that activate on the field, like Strike Bouncer, those can still be used. But more importantly, when Ehren attacks a monk, when Ehren attacks a Snowman Eater or Ryko, their effect goes off, and you can pop that Ehren. And if your opponent tells you otherwise, tell them to look up the goddamn rulings on this card, because it's like line 2 on Ehren Lightsworn Monk's rulings. And I can't tell you how many times I've had people get pissed off when I tell them, no, my monster doesn't go back in your deck. I'm like, no, it does go back in the deck. I attack your face down monster and it's immediately gone. I'm like, no, I still get my flip effect off, asshole. But yeah, I just figured I wanted to point this one out because Ehren's going to see a little more play, and not everyone knows that when Ehren attacks a monster, it's flipped up and then sent back into the deck, and all you need for that effect to go off is just for it to be flipped up. Last thing I want to note is that because the format is slowed down, some cards that are slow to be used, such as Gold Sarcophagus, become a little more viable. I don't know how many of this card I would run in my decks, but I do like the idea of a one-off, and Gold Star can be used to search out a variety of cards. One, of course, would be Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, Blackluster Soldier, Judgment Dragon, Quackamiru Drago, your limited cards such as Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, that kind of stuff. I really think that this card has an opportunity to do some decent work, especially that Pot of Duality has been semi-limited. Now, instead of running 3 Pot of Duality, you could go 2 Duality, 1 Gold Sarc, and there's your form of draw power for your slower-based decks. But anyway, the long story short is, the start of this format is going to be a very entertaining couple of days. Once YCS Toronto is all wrapped up, we'll have a better idea of where things are going to go, but for right now, these are just the things I've noticed, and I figured I'd share with you guys. Make use of this information however you will. It has influenced some things I'm going to be doing with my deck. I mean, I've dropped my Mirror Forces from my Disaster Dragon and my Dragoonity. I'm replacing them with other stuff. I mean, I'm thinking Call of the Haunted and Disaster Dragon, or maybe just Dark Flares or something along those lines. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching. Until the next time.